Hey everyone, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening to everyone here. This is Viper Strike 95 here, and welcome to today's stream. This is another installment of the City Tour series. We're heading back to the United States. In particular, we're actually heading to the Midwest, as we're visiting the gateway to the West, St. Louis, Missouri. This iconic Midwestern city was known as the connection point of the Mississippi River between the eastern half of the US and the western half. It was one of the major cities that grew during the Louisiana Purchase. So, this iconic place would be the perfect place for our today's flight. It's good to have everyone here, so let's go over our flight plan for today. I want to say hello to all in chat. It's good to have you guys here, as usual. Mm. So, let's go over today's flight plan. Let's do this. Boom, boom, guys. So let's pull this up. No, not this. This. So let's pull the nav map and let's make this nice and big. Perfect. So our flight plan for today, we actually is a 62 nautical mile trip. We're gonna take off here from Scott Air Force Base and Mid America Airport. They're right next to each other. We're gonna visit Belleville, Illinois. Then from there, we're gonna do a quick stop at St. Louis downtown. This would be a preparation for um from our flight. And then from there, we're going to be visiting the Budweiser Brewery, the Anheuser-Busch Brewery, world famous. This is where Budweiser has been historically been made here. Then we're going to visit Tower Grove Park, which is full of markets and all sorts of beautiful natural park area. Then we're visiting one of the premier attractions, the Missouri Botanical Gardens. And then from there, we're going to be heading off. We're going to head to the Forest Park, which is actually the most visited area in the entire city of St. Louis. In fact, more people visit here than the Gateway Arch and Busch Stadium combined. Then from here, we're going to visit including the Jewel Box, the World's Fair Pavilion, St. Louis Zoo, the Art Museum, and the Missouri History Museum. Then we're going to visit the Cathedral Basilica of St. Louis, a very historic Catholic church. Then from here, we're going to visit St. Louis University, the private Jesuit university in St. Louis. Then we're visiting Chi-Fez Arena, located on the campus. Then we're going to visit the famous St. Louis Union Station, St. Louis Aquarium, Enterprise Center, the Enterprise Center, the home of the St. Louis Blues, Soldiers Memorial Stadium, Soldier Memorial Museum. Then we visit Ballpark Village and Busch Stadium. That's well known for being the home of St. Louis's most beloved sports team, the St. Louis Cardinals. Then we're going to actually go across the Mississippi into Illinois, back into Illinois, as we're going to face the Gateway Geyser at Malcolm W. Martin Memorial Park, one of the tallest fountains in the U.S. Then we're going to visit the Gateway Arch. Of course, we can't go to St. Louis without the Arch, obviously. Visit the old courthouse, fly over a bit of the national park. Then we're going to fly over the Dome at America Center, the old home of the St. Louis Rams NFL team, and the nearby convention center. Then there's the Campbell House Museum, City Museum, the Scott Joplin House, the home of the famous composer Scott Joplin. Then we're going to visit the Herbert Hoover Boys and Girls Club, which used to be the home of Sportsman Park. Then we're going to visit McKinley Bridge. Then we're going to be going to Granite City in Illinois. Go back across the river, visit the old Chain of Rocks Bridge, and then we're going to be visiting a very special place, Camp River du Bois, the starting point of the Lewis and Clark expedition. Then Fort Bellefontaine, and finally our final stop at the main international airport for St. Louis at Lambert St. Louis International, Kilo Sierra Tango Lima. So that is going to be our flight plan for today. So this should be a really fun flight plan for today. Good to see you, Snackers Kerbal, and friends all, good to have you in the chat today. Obviously, I'm going to be flying an ultralight, and it's the Aerolite 103. It's what I took last week when I went to London. So I'm going to take this for today. But this Aerolite, like I said earlier, is very good for the shorter flights. So this should be nice and fun. So starting this up should be pretty easy. I mean, you don't really need to do much. Just hold the primer switch. Currently flying the Pacific in the DC-6. You're my in-flight entertainment. No worries, Snags Curveball. That's awesome. You're flying in the DC-6. And she's up. So, she's up. So, I'm glad that the audio works much better today. At least the audience can actually hear me. So, let's go ahead and go over this, some of the sides. Here it is. So let's talk about, this is St. Louis, Missouri. This is the city tour thing. So we're in St. Louis for today. So St. Louis, Missouri, very iconic city. So I'll definitely tell you about the history of this place as well. I've been to St. Louis a few times in real life. Most recently, I went down like in 2020, actually 2019, when I visited Branson, Missouri, which that area around there is very beautiful in Branson. But in order to get there, we had to drive to St. Louis. And I gotta say, St. Louis has changed quite a bit since I last been here, but I never really explored St. Louis too much. So this would definitely be very exciting. Late to my trip home from New Zealand. Great. That's awesome. So, let's talk about where we're at right now. So we're actually here in Midland, St. Louis. Now, here's the interesting thing about Midland, St. Louis. You see, it's a public use airport. It actually opened in the 1980s, apparently. But actually, this airport was operated here, enjoyed operations since 1997. It's actually right next to the nearby Scott Air Force Base. This is actually the secondary passenger airport for domestic use in St. Louis besides Lambert. And it's the 5th busiest of the 12 commercial airports here in Illinois. So only 4 passenger airlines have even operated from out America, and the only one who operates currently is Allegiant Airlines. They mainly operate here. And Allegiant flies destinations from here, including Destin, Las Vegas, Orlando, Sarasota, and St. Petersburg as their year-round destinations. But it's been criticized by as a pork barrel project, as it's quite the expensive airport itself. Now, of course, we're going to be right next to Scott Air Force Base. We're going to fly over it. But a bit of background about Scott Air Force Base itself. Now, this Air Force Base is definitely pretty well known. This Air Force Base was actually established during the First World War, when Secretary of War Newton Baker expanded the role at aviation, and this became one of the new flying fields in the Midwest. Currently, it's the headquarters of the Air Mobility Command, the AMC, and it's the headquarters of the U.S. Transportation Command as well. Currently, the main field operating is the 375th Air Force Air Mobility Wing. And this base currently employs 13,000 people, 5,100 civilians, and 5,500 active duty Air Force, with an additional 2,400 National Guard and Reserve personnel. So this area right here is a pretty major place as well. And basically, for those who don't know what the Air Mobility Command, the AMC basically is for global air mobility, and they provide a lot of humanitarian support. So that is probably why it's important. I see Copper's taking the 145, but I don't have the 145 with me. So that is going to be about Scott Air Force Base. Definitely pretty interesting to talk about here. Let's see if everyone's up. Just waiting for everyone here. So that's just a bit about Mid-America and Scott Air Force Base. We're going to be flying over those in the sim. So there's Conference Link and there's DYP. Awesome. So let's go ahead and get this thing flying. And she's off. And she's off. So, for your yards, Mid-America Airport. From here, we can actually turn left, and we should head our way to Scott Air Force Base. And just to be clear, guys, we're actually still in Illinois. We haven't crossed the Mississippi into St. Louis. But I felt like starting here in Mid-America would be a pretty good idea. Since it's not just going to be explored in St. Louis, we're going to explore some of the areas immediately afterwards. And I picked this because I felt like there would be some really cool port landmarks we'd be visiting from our time here. So I hope you guys have. Hey Martel, it's been pretty good. Great to have you here. So, it's great to have you guys here today, and I really do appreciate it. So, I've been doing quite well. I've been doing the research, but I've been mainly working on, for next week's topic, for next week's city tour, I'm planning on heading to Rome. So, I'm going to be doing some little extra research for the Rome trip. So, here it is, guys. To our right is what Scott Air Force Base is located. Unfortunately, I can't seem to find anything on FlightSimTO about Scott Air Force Base, unfortunately. It's not on one of the scenery maps. This is Scott. Hey, Mid-America looks like two separate airports. That's because it actually is two separate airports. Snack Scribble. Let me go ahead and pull up the map again. Let me just show you what's on the LoNav map. Let me go ahead and show you. This, see right here? See, this is Scott Air Force Base. And here is Mid-America. See, these are two separate airports, but they're categorized as one. One's an Air Force Base, one's an airport, but there is a taxiway that connects both the Scott Air Base and the Mid-America Airport. So I hope that probably clears it up. So, yeah, but you're correct, though, Snaggles Turbo. They were connected to a taxiway. You're correct. So, do they share an airport code? Yes, they do share an airport code. Snaggles Turbo, they do share an airport code. They share the same one. Kilo Bravo Lima Victor is their code. There. KBLV. They both share the same airport. So I probably need to head back on the path, obviously. I'm drifted a little too far to the left. I mean, it's not easy doing this and and keeping the track of the map. I only have 2 monitors, so it would have been cool to have a 3rd monitor with all my notes. But, so the place we're headed to next, I got some work to do in the house, but I will be on my smartphone. No worries, Martel. It's just great to have you on here today. It's great to have you on stream today. I really do appreciate you coming by. So let's talk about the place we're visiting next. So this is Belleville, Illinois. So it's French for the city, it meaning beautiful city. It is the county seat of St. Clair County, Illinois. It is the largest city in southern Illinois with a population of 44,470 people. It's the 8th most populous city in the state outside of the Chicago metropolitan area. So thanks to its proximity to Scott Air Force Base, Belleville has a pretty big population boost in both military and federal civilian personnel and such. The city itself was actually founded in 1814 by George Blair. It was incorporated as a village in 1819 and became a city in 1850. This area became pretty well known as the first German settlement in Illinois. And by 1870, an estimated 90% of the population was either German-born or German descent. After the Civil War, Belleville became a manufacturing center producing nails, printing presses, iron castings, agricultural equipment, and stoves. So as a result, it became known as the stove capital of the world during that time. In fact, they actually found some pretty big deposits of coal, 400,000 acres of coal in the 1800s. And as a result, Belleville was actually a pretty important trade for St. Louis. And of course, as well, there's also a historic district featuring all sorts of different kind of architectural styles around here as well. In 2021, most recently, residents elected Patty Gregory as the mayor, becoming the first mayor in the city as well. And finally, one more thing. This city is definitely known for one of its more interesting people. So one of its most famous people from here was actually a very well-known guy named actually one of the most famous people was definitely Bob Goldie, who won the 1968 Masters tournament for golf. So that's just one of them. So that is Belleville. I learned more about St. Louis. Yeah, St. Louis is interesting, so we'll fly over a bit of Belleville for a bit. So we're mainly visiting downtown historic district. You can definitely see some landmarks. I'm going to go ahead and disable the slideshow. So this is kind of in the area here. Right? Yeah, I picked this Ultra because, like I said, it's nice and fast, quite speedy, little ultralight, which is like. It's definitely a pretty nice area around here, for sure. So we're going to actually take a temporary stop, but we're going to do a quick touch and go. But we're particularly going to be heading to St. Louis downtown. So St. Louis Downtown Airport. Now this is the main GA airport here in St. Louis. But this airport's actually been around for quite a while, actually. It's actually located still in Illinois, in Chipoka. But it's actually used as the main GA Airport. This airport was actually opened in 1929 as Curtis Steinberg Airport. Back during that time. And it was used to do lots of training for the PT-19 during the Second World War. But currently it's used as the main GA reliever airport. Mainly, this is used by the University of St. Louis for their Parks College of Engineering, Aviation Technology, and also the St. Louis Cardinals use this airport, believe it or not, for their charter flights for away games. They actually fly out of this airport, believe it or not. Now, in the past, Air Midwest used to do passenger flights out of the airport in 1984 from Chicago to Kansas City with their Metro 2 prop jets during that time. But currently, right now, most of the traffic here is GA at 97%, and then from those 97%, most of them are single-engine planes, followed by multi-engine, jet, and helicopter. And finally, hangar number 2 here hosts the Greater St. Louis Air and Space Museum, and it's still home to the nation's oldest flight school, the Parks College of Engineering and Aviation Center. So that is going to be St. Louis downtown. We're going to be checking that out pretty soon. We're just going to make a quick stop here at this airport. But yeah, I wanted to ask you guys in the chat, I hope you guys are currently having a great weekend so far. I hope you guys have had a good weekend, have fun with your family, or get everything you need to get done. For some of you who are streamed, I hope you guys are doing quite well on this as well. I appreciate everyone for coming here today. It means a lot to me that you're all here, because I think it's fun to have a good audience and a good chat as well. And to have a good time. So, just nice relaxing. I'm going to go play a little bit of music. So, let's look at this. There's downtown St. Louis, right in front of us. Here's downtown. Martel says we had a heavy storm on Friday evening, so yesterday I spent up cleaning the garden. That day's missing now. Oh yeah, I too also had to clean up my garden as well. There was quite a bit of issues with the birds. Obviously, the birds just kept stirring up the place. Thankfully, we managed to get rid of it. But yeah, everything's going well for me. I've been doing lots of Virtual Airline flights this past week. So here's an interesting thing. On my right, now this location around this area is where the National Shrine of the Lady of Our Snow is from, and that is one of the major churches here at Belton. To our right. And I think we see St. Louis downtown right here. So I see Copperstick here with me. Look at that, you're flying formation, Copperstick. That's really impressive. I mean, you're in the helicopter, which means I don't think you have to worry about stalling so much. You can keep up with me pretty easily. Yeah, I love the visibility out of this Ultra. It's so good. I love the visibility. Yeah, it's beautiful here. Here's one of those artificial lakes. So we're just gonna go straight in, I guess. We're gonna land straight in. We can pick any of the airport landings, but I'm gonna go 330 right, just because it's a bit shorter. This would be one of our 2 stops for today's flight. Just a bit quick rundown about Belleville. Is this an Asobo plane? No. This is not an Asobo plane. This is actually from the MSFS Marketplace. It's from Neva Designs. It's the Aerolite 103. It is the Aerolite 103, I should say from Nimbus Studios. I believe it's from Nimbus Studios. This is their ultralight. I got this pretty early from watching Coffee House actually do this flight, by the way enough. Yes, I remember Coffee House. He used to have his ultralight army back in the day, and I really enjoyed those flights because I think it's a new era of flight simulation that I think not many people get used to. With how good the scenery is here, I think it's never been a good time to now fly the ultralights. So we're gonna go ahead and land. Good. Let's... nice guess. Negative 149, not bad. So I'm gonna go ahead and park this in the grass. And I'll show you from the drone cam when I'm at the airport. Okay. Park. I don't think this... It's a great choice in the sim, but I would crap my pants in real life. Yeah, I would kind of feel like that. But I managed to get this for around $15, which is not bad at all for a little ultralight. There's another ultralight I've really wanted to get in the sim, and that's the Ants Airplanes Drifter, which has actually its own autopilot, which would be really cool. So this here is St. Louis Downtown Airport. To show you what I'm talking about, this airport actually has 3 runways actually. Here. So there's 3 major runways from around here. So you have one that's 5,000 feet, one for 6,900 feet, and there's the really short one for 2,700 feet. Now, up here, the front of it, now the front of this is where they use for the St. Louis flight training are right in this area right here. So this is where the St. Louis flight training area is located. This is the Greater St. Louis Air and Space Museum's located right in this building. And you can see all the different flight BOs and all that located over here. and right over here as well. This is where the flight base operations stuff would be located, which includes Gulfstream and Gateway jets. All that is located around here. So just wanted to give you guys a clear idea of what to know about this little airport. But one thing I do like about this, it's right next to downtown St. Louis, which would be perfect for the flight. So just a quick small landing. It's a short one. So let's go ahead and get into the cockpit. Yeah, I'm completely afraid of heights. Yeah, my dad's the same thing too, Martel. Don't worry about it. So we're going to go ahead and taxi back to the runway, but let's go ahead and talk about St. Louis for a moment, shall we? Let's learn about the city a bit more. So St. Louis, for people that don't know, St. Louis is actually the second largest city in the state of Missouri, because Kansas City, for some reason, is actually bigger. It's right at the confluence of the Mississippi and Missouri rivers. In 2020, the city has a population of around 301,000 people, while the metropolitan area can go over to 2.8 million people, which actually makes this the largest metropolitan area in Missouri. Before the European settlement, it was a regional center for the Mississippian culture of the natives. It was actually founded in 1764 by French fur traders Gilbert Antoine de Maxent, Pierre Lecide, and Auguste Chateau, and named it after Louis IX of France, aka Saint Louis, or Louis the Saint. After France's defeat, it was ceded to Seine, then it was retroceded back to France before being transferred to the United States as part of the Louisiana Purchase. As a result, the city was the point of the expedition of the Corps of Discovery, or aka the Lewis Clark Expedition. In the 19th century, it became a major port, and it's since become one of the global-level cities in the U.S., being the home of 8 Fortune 500 companies, including Anheuser-Busch, Ameren Corporation, Peabody Energy, U.S. Bank, and the U.S. Department of Agriculture. Some pretty cool stuff. So the history of St. Louis goes all the way back to the Native American times. But the first Europeans explored the area in 1673. Louis Joliet and Jacques Marquette traveled through the Mississippi River Valley, and they were actually fur traders back in the day. And that was because the French really cared about the furs of a lot of the animals they hunted back in the day. And the Mississippi River, including Louisiana, was a big part of a lot of the rivers. The earliest European settlements in the area were built here in Louisiana County, also known as Upper Louisiana, and they were built on the eastern side of the Mississippi River during the 1890s and early 1700s, mainly at Chahokah, Kassika, and Fort St. Charles, which we're actually at right now. In 1764, France lost the 7 Years' War with Spain, and Pierre Lecide and Chateau founded what would be St. Louis. And that's because the French went east of the Mississippi, had been ceded to Britain, and the lands west of it to Spain. As a result of the fact. Now, the founding of St. Louis, for the first few years, St. Louis was not recognized by any of the governments. And then in 1800, it was transferred to the First French Republic, which was the French Empire with Napoleon, before it was sold the French to the U.S. in part of the Louisiana Purchase, which also included a lot of the American West, it turns out. From there, it actually became a very important trading port for the U.S. as it connected the West to East. Steamboats first arrived here in 1817 and improved connections with New Orleans and Eastern markets. And as a result, when Missouri was amended as a state, St. Louis was incorporated as a city in 1822, and it became a very important inland port. With all the new immigrants, St. Louis grew exponentially. By 1860, it grew from less than 20,000 to 160,000. During the Civil War era, the city was split between sympathies of the North and South due to Missouri being a slave state, technically. But slaves often worked on here, and due to the city's location to the free state of Illinois, some slaves escaped to freedom. after the Civil War, St. Louis benefited from the West through trade, completed by the Eads Bridge, which is a very historic bridge. Industrial developments on both banks were linked by bridge, and it became still very busy to this day. And then during the 20th century, it held the 1904 World's Fair and the 1904 Olympics, becoming the first European state to host the Olympic Games. Was held here in St. Louis, and that was located at Forest Park. They were, and in fact, we can still see some of the stuff from that time. After the Civil War, there were some race issues still going on and segregation due to Jim Crow. For the first half of the 20th century, St. Louis was a destination for the Great Migration of African Americans seeking from the south to the north for better opportunities. During World War II, the NAACP, or the National Association of Advancement of Colored People, campaigned to integrate the war factories. And in 1964, the construction of the Gateway Arch, and it led them to the Civil Rights Act in 1964. Now, St. Louis, like many of the Midwestern cities, have expanded in the earlier 20th century due to industrialization and provided new jobs for a lot of the immigrants and migrants from the South. And there were several urban renewal projects in the 50s to replace the old housing. And it continues to continue since the 1980s. There have been several revitalization efforts on downtown St. Louis, and it continues to do so in the 21st century. So that's a bit about the history of St. Louis. So that's St. Louis's history. Quite a big one. In terms of cultural stuff, culturally, St. Louis is quite interesting as well. One of the things St. Louis is known for is its French heritage, thanks to the Catholic immigrants. Lots of great churches. Music is a very big deal here in St. Louis. I mean, with blues, jazz, and ragtime. And of course, St. Louis is also known for the regional cuisine, like toasted ravioli, gooey butter cake, and provolone cheese. And of course, St. Louis style pizza as well. And finally, sports are a big deal. The St. Louis Cardinals called home here. So that's a bit about St. Louis. And now right here is gonna be our first major destination here. Now, so we're gonna fly over here. Let me go ahead and stop the plane for a little bit. And I'm gonna go over to our drone cam. Let me set this up. Okay, perfect. So this here is the Anheuser-Busch Brewery. Now, this famous brewery was actually opened all the way back in 1852 by German immigrant Adolphus Busch, and it's currently right now in National Historical Landmark District. Now, this brewery is where a lot of the historical Budweiser was made here in St. Louis, and I mean, Budweiser is one of the most famous beer companies in America. Currently, you can take free public tours of the brewery, and they take visitors through the entire complex. And if you're of legal age, which in the U.S. is 21, you can actually enjoy 2-3 glasses of any of their products in the hospitality room. And tourists can see where the beer is made and packaged as part of the brewery. In addition, the company also keeps a rotation of its world-famous Budweiser Clydesdales at its headquarters, which they were the historic draft horses originally used to pull the wagon carrying the beer during the 19th century days of the company. And visitors can observe the Clydesdales in their exercise field, which is pretty cool. And some of its herds actually kept in Grant's Farm, which was previously owned by USS Grant at one point, and it became a National Historic Landmark in 1966. So this is the brewery. I'm going to go ahead and take a picture. This case here. So there is the brewery. By the way, I usually post these on my Discord. I hope the Discord link still works. Let me go ahead and show you my Discord. So if you guys want to keep up with my Discord, here's the link. So let's go over, okay, so now let me go ahead and, let's go fly over it a bit. Sometimes I do active pause so I can show you where we're at, and we can actually down a little bit. So here's the brewery. Here's a closer look. Here's all the stuff for the beer. These smoke things are for the excess smoke and all that stuff in the brewery to operate all of the machinery. So there's the famous front of the Budweiser building. It's located up here. So we're gonna fly over that. There's there's the train station to our left right here. And here's the rest of the brewery, so we're gonna fly over that. There's the brewery. There's a bit of a flyover the brewery. Now we're going to head to the next stop. So our next stop should actually be Tower Grove Park. Should be Tower Grove Park. So what's pretty special about this Tower Grove Park, you may ask? So Tower Grove Park is one of the other parks here in St. Louis. It is the municipal park in the city of St. Louis. Most of the land was donated to the city by Henry Shaw in 1868. It is on 289 acres of land and is right next to the Missouri Botanical Garden. This park here features 32 pavilions of picturesque design, most of them dating back to the Victoria era, which allows a lot of shady rest areas, which visitors can enjoy the lovely views of the park. In addition to this as well, this little park here also features several statues from the 1800s, including a full likeness of German naturalist Alexander von Humboldt and one of William Shakespeare as well. So there are many events like picnics and weddings that have been held here. They also do a farmer's market since 2005 from May to October. So that's also been held here as well. Let's go over Forest. Let's go fly over Forest Park now. Actually, I think we flew over the. Let's head back. The park is actually right here. Here's Tower Grove Park. Unfortunately, there's too many trees. Like, I know this area has a lot of trees, but this is too many trees. I mean, they gotta tone down the number of trees. It's too trees. Look at the trees. There's too much of them. It's all covered in trees. I can't see anything. Like, I don't mind green scenery, trees, but I mean. So here's quite a few areas, like this is where the Shakespeare, we're heading near where the Shakespeare statue is located. So there's the Shakespeare statue and stuff. Now we're gonna actually now turn right. Here's the tennis courts. We're gonna visit the Missouri Botanical Gardens. So what's so important about this little botanical garden, you ask? Well, here. So this botanical garden here, very important little botanical garden. This botanical garden here is quite a cool little one. This botanical garden has more than 6.6 million specimens, which is one of the largest in North America, second only to the one in New York City. Founded in 1859, it is one of the oldest botanical institutions in the U.S., a National Historic Landmark. The garden is home to many cultural festivals, including Japanese and Chinese cultural festival days as well. But it contains lots of different specimens. It also has a butterfly house as well, which is 8,000 square foot. There is a different nature reserve. And in fact, this species, there's over 1 million species of plants in the botanical garden, which is pretty crazy to think about. There's over 1 million species of plants in the botanical garden. Pretty crazy stuff. Then next we're going to visit... Oh, hey! We have a new follow to 24K Draco with the follow. Good to have you here. I hope you're having a good day as well. I hope you're enjoying the flight. I hope things are going well. So for guys who are new, this is my new city tour series. We're now flying over the city of St. Louis, Missouri. So we're now heading to the next place. We're heading to Forest Park. So this park here is actually very important. It's a public park and civic center. Opened in 1876. It has hosted significant events, including the Louisiana Purchase Expedition of 1904 for the St. Louis World Fair and the 1904 Summer Olympics, the first Olympic Games to be held outside of Europe. Currently, it now hosts to many attractions like the St. Louis Zoo, Art Museum, and Missouri History Museum, and it is known as the heart of St. Louis. In fact, this park has featured a lot of visitors, particularly this park has more visitors visiting here every single year than the Gateway Arch and Busch Stadium put together. There's so many people visiting here as well. And this park contains including the Jewel Box, the World's Fair Pavilion, and the St. Louis Zoo. So lots of different areas we can visit here in the park. Hey, can you visit Tokyo? Actually, I am going to visit Tokyo. Actually, 24 Draco. I am going to visit Tokyo. Not now, but in the future, I will definitely make a visit to Tokyo, Japan. In fact, I might do it for one of my virtual airline flights, and that is to fly to Tokyo. And I'll fly over the city. But yeah, Tokyo's a really cool city to visit. So I'm definitely curious. But thanks for letting me know. I'll probably have to consider Tokyo at some point. So this here is Jewel Box. This one is an Art Deco designed building. This I don't have any notes for that. I forgot to put some, but Jewel Box is definitely a greenhouse. It was built in 1936 and it houses nearly 7,500 square feet of display space. So it's actually a little greenhouse as well. Then from here, we're also going to be visiting the World's Fair Pavilion. Let's go here. Oh, I won't miss that stream. Yeah, it'll definitely be a good one. It'll be a couple weeks though, because I'm still doing a tour of the Philippines. So it'll be one of those Wednesday flights. I'll definitely tour around Japan, for sure. That'll be a couple weeks, but I definitely want to go do a stream in Japan. Yeah, no problem. I'm happy. So this here is the World's Fair Pavilion. This building here is the World's Fair Pavilion. This was actually opened in 1910 as a gift from the committee to restore the park after the 1904 World's Fair, designed by architect Henry Wright. It cost $35,000 to build at the time, but currently now it has a new restroom and a catering kitchen as well. But yeah, this is definitely a pretty historic area, one of the oldest areas here in the park. And then we're going to visit the most visited attraction here at the park, and that is the St. Louis Zoo. Let's go ahead and turn this around. I need the power! Power! Ah, there we are. So this is the St. Louis Zoo. It's covered by trees, of course. There. It should be Microsoft Tree Simulator, but this is St. Louis Zoo. What year was the World's Fair in St. Louis? It was 1904. Friends all, 1904. It was the same year that Summer Olympics were held. So this is the St. Louis Zoo, aka the most visited attraction here in St. Louis, for here in the park. This zoo was actually opened all the way back in 1910. It's over 112 years old. It's one of the leading zoos in animal management, research, conservation, education. It has free admission as well. It purchased its first exhibit from the 1904 St. Louis World Fair. After the zoo was established in 1910, new areas, exhibits, and buildings were added through the decades to improve the care of the animals. In 2017-18, it was chosen by US Today as the best of the US. Currently is home to many different animals in different zones, like the lakeside crossing, home to rays and sharks. River's Edge represents all the rivers from 4 major continents of North America, South America, Africa, and Asia. A Discovery Corner, which contains insectarium. And then there's Historic Hill, which contains a lot of the bird cages and stuff, the birdhouse. And of course, Big Cat Country has a lot of the big cats. So yeah, and this zoo contains over 603 plus species with over 18,000 animals. So we get to actually see one of the nation's best zoos. Like for those people who may not know, the World's Fair were the way to display all the modern trends and achievements before modern communication technology. That's correct. Very much so, friends all. That's very much correct. That's what they did back in the old days. You're very much correct on that one. Like a county state fair, but for the entire world. That's correct. They still do these world fairs, friends all. They're just not nearly getting much talk anymore. We just flew past the St. Louis Park Museum. We're going to visit here's the rest of the park. There's Picnic Island. There's a golf course right here too. But the main place we're going to visit next is the Missouri History Museum. This museum showcases a lot of the history here in Missouri. Contains artifacts as well as Missouri and St. Louis stuff, like local colonial native artifacts. And there's also items relating to Charles Limbaugh and his transatlantic flight from Superior to St. Louis. Now, here's an interesting story about Charles Limbaugh in St. Louis, by the way. So, you wonder, the story about Charles Limbaugh was he was trying to get the Ortega Award back in the old days. So in order to do that, he actually had to go and meet with several investors in St. Louis for Charles Limbaugh. So to prepare for his transatlantic flight from New York to Paris, he needed to get investors. So he actually visited St. Louis for his Ortega Prize. So he actually had to go to St. Louis. He had to meet with investors in St. Louis, and in order to get funding for the plane. And he also made St. Louis from the Ryan factory nearby. Mainly, he used his plane based on the Ryan M2 mail plane, and it was named in honor of the support of the St. Louis Racquet Club in his then hometown St. Louis, which actually gave the Spirit St. Louis its name. It was built and designed in San Diego, and this plane basically took off from New York to Paris, and it took them around 33 hours and 30 minutes to get there to Le Bourget Airport in Paris. So yeah, it turns out that the city of Spirit St. Louis is actually named after the city itself. Pretty cool aviation history for people who don't know. fact, I wonder if I can find the Raquet Club. I wonder if I can find it. Actually, I'm gonna go ahead and make a quick detour. We're actually gonna head to the Raquet Club. Now, usually I don't do quick detours, but I forgot to mark that down when we actually fled to the van. Because let me tell you, that's important for aviation history, that a lot of people don't realize. That's probably St. Louis's greatest contribution to aviation history. So there's the Raquet Club down below us. There it is. This is the Raquet Club right below us. This is where Charles Limbaugh actually met the investors here in St. Louis. And if it wasn't for the Raquet Club and the investors with the funding, there's no way Charles Limbaugh ever goes to Paris. Because if it wasn't for him and the investors, they wouldn't have got the plane, they would have gotten all the stuff to design it. And it's why Limbaugh's plane was named the Spirit of St. Louis. So yeah, there it is right there. Very important area here in St. Louis. Yeah, Charles Limbaugh, very interesting aviation history and pilot, that for sure. So yeah, we're gonna go visit the next one. We're gonna visit the Cathedral Basilica of St. Louis. Which is over here. So here it is. This is the Cathedral Basilica of St. Louis. Right here. So here's the Basilica. So if I do lots of pausing, it's because I'm trying to explain everything. Plus I want to find what I'm talking about. So here it is, guys. This is the Cathedral Basilica of St. Louis. And this is because it's named after St. Louis, the Saint King of France. So what's so special about this little cathedral? Well, this cathedral was actually completed all the way in 1914, actually. It's the Cathedral of the Roman Catholic Church. It's known as the Cathedral Basilica of St. Louis, or the St. Louis Cathedral. It is the mother church of the Archdiocese of St. Louis, and it's the seat of the Archbishop, known as Mitchell T. Borzanki. It was named after King Louis IX of France, and it was designed in a basilica by Pope John Paul II, who was born from Poland, actually. It was actually built as a replacement to the previous St. Louis Cathedral, the Basilica of St. Louis, King of France. This church is known for its large mosaics, which is among the largest in the entire Western Hemisphere, burial crypts, and the addition of an outdoor sculpture to promote racial harmony, known as the Angel of Harmony, which is a 14-foot high stainless steel sculpture. As well. It also features an organ, which was built in 1915, and it had 77 rings of pipes, 14 came from an older organ. It was a pretty big organ as well. It featured many different crypts, including John L. Glennon, Joseph Ritter, and John Carberry were buried in the crypt. They were cardinals of the Catholic Church. And of course, the mosaic. The mosaics feature 41.5 million glass tesseract pieces in more than 7,000 colors, covering 83,000 square feet of area, and it's the world's largest mosaic collection outside of Russia. It is absolutely huge. The mosaics are massive in this church. It's crazy how big it is. I don't think we can ever get into the church, but definitely worth taking a pic, especially very big, very proud church. That's the Cathedral Basilica. Very big, very important area here in St. Louis. After this, we're going to fly to the campus of St. Louis University. So, St. Louis University is a private Jesuit university here in St. Louis. Founded in 1880, it's the oldest university west of the Mississippi River. In the 2019-2020 academic year, over 12,000 students enrolled here, with an additional 7,101 in its advanced college credit program. Your athletic program is pretty funny. While most teams have pretty basic names like Cardinals, Wildcats, or Eagles, no. Their college athletic programs are known as the Billikens, actually. Funnily enough. Now, that name is pretty funny. The name actually came from an earlier coach of St. Louis University, John R. Bender. And according to the story, local sports writers convinced that Bender bore an uncanny resemblance to a charm dog called a Billiken, which was a national fad at the time, and it became known as Bender Billikens, and the name now is stuck. It's now stuck onto the university ever since. And the thing where the Billikens are known is two major sports. Basketball, where they've been pretty successful, and finally, the St. Louis Billikens are a national powerhouse in soccer, or football, depending on where you're from. But that is what the Billikens were known for historically, has been really what they've been really good as well. So we're going to fly around the campus here for a little bit. So yeah, it's pretty funny they named their sports team the Billikens. Pretty funny. So we're going to slip around on the university campus a bit. Looks really good. The photogrammetry looks absolutely amazing here. One of the areas here is an old mansion, an old vintage mansion located around this area. But yeah, the photogrammetry looks amazing here. Looks great. Around the campus for a little bit. Just explore the scenery. So next we're going to fly over Chi-Fez Arena. So Chi-Fez Arena, 10,600 people actually are seated here in this arena. Opened back in 2008 for St. Louis University. Features a pavilion, which has a two-court volleyball practice facility for the volleyball teams. So that is Chi-Fez Arena. So here it is, Chi-Fez Arena. We're gonna fly over that. Just circle around the arena for a sec. So there is Chi-Fez Arena, all of the University St. Louis University, their Billikens. And then from there, we're going to turn into St. Louis Union Station. Now, when it was built, it was actually one of the largest train stations in the world on a single level train station. But currently now it's been renovated as a hotel, shopping center, and entertainment complex. There's even the giant St. Louis Wheel, which is one of the tallest wheels in the U.S. In the 40s, this Union Station peaked at over 100,000 people per day. And then right next to that Union Station is also the local aquarium is from there as well. So here is the Union Station and where the aquarium is located. So there's that. So there is the St. Louis Union Station. And this is also where the aquarium is located. While I've never been there in real life, there is that. pretty cool. Now we're going to one of the 3 Major League venues in St. Louis. And technically this is one of the 2 Major League sports teams here in St. Louis. So first is going to be the Enterprise Center. This stadium is actually the home of the St. Louis Blues, which is St. Louis's NHL team. So let me go ahead and pull up that slide. So Enterprise Center is around 18,000 people actually visit Enterprise Center with a full crowd. Home of the St. Louis Blues since 1995 to replace their old arena. Replacing the old Kiel Auditorium. It's also been the home of the Pelicans as well, played here before Chavez Arena. It's also been very popular with the NCAA tournament and played many games here at Enterprise Center. And the Missouri Valley Conference plays their tournament here every single year. Oh yeah, and here's one of the other unique things about the St. Louis Blues. They're one of the, I believe they're the only NHL team still to use organ music. And it was played by Jeremy Boyer played it, and he played the St. Louis Blues before every games in every single period as well. And they still play that organ. And I gotta tell you, Blues fans are quite loud. Though I don't think they're louder than the ones in Nashville. Probably tell you that much. For sure. So there is Enterprise Center. And now we're entering the heart of St. Louis, part of downtown St. Louis. And here's quite a few of the buildings. We're going to navigate through some of the buildings. Including one of them being the Soldiers Memorial Museum, which is right here is the Soldiers Memorial Museum. So this is downtown St. Louis. It's pretty cool to fly over. It'll be crazy once we get to New York City because with all the high rises here, it'll be absolutely insane. Now we're going to go to probably the home of the most popular team here in St. Louis, without question the more popular team. And yes, this is Busch Stadium to our left, home of the St. Louis Cardinals. This is actually the 3rd iteration of Busch Stadium. And yes, some of you guys remember from my baseball series. If you guys still remember my baseball series, by the way, Play Ball, you probably have seen this stadium before. The Rams? No, the Rams are now Los Angeles. No, this is the Cardinals home stadium. But it's good to have you here, Big Miles, Long Miles. Good to have you here. So this is not Enterprise Center, but this is actually, I was just sitting on St. Louis. This is Busch Stadium, guys. More specifically, this is actually the 3rd iteration of Busch Stadium. It was founded in 2006, has a capacity of 44,494 fans. This area is known for quite a few interesting things. This is built for the modern retro classic design. Back in there, modeling other ballparks of this time period when it was built. Now, the former stadium was located over here, was the former Busch Stadium. That's now turned into a ballpark village, which is a whole entire convention center, residential, and entertainment complex as well. And let me tell you, St. Louis fans are probably some of the best in Major League Baseball. They've always had some of the strongest attendance in the league. And, I mean, this is a stadium where players like Albert Pujols, Yadier Molina, Adam Wainwright have all played baseball here. It also features it also has statues of Stan Musial, Dizzy Dean, Roger Hornsby, Luke Rock, Ivan Smith, and more. It features rich concessions of both traditional ballpark food and St. Louis favorites. And it has had some of the strongest attendance in the league. So definitely, this is Busch Stadium, a very iconic stadium here in St. Louis. It is an absolute gem of the city. And if you're a baseball fan, you should definitely check out Busch Stadium. It's an icon. And yes, I'm going to make an attempt of a landing here, guys. This should get interesting. Hear about my Major League ball. Yeah. And you know, it's hard to believe though this season. By the way, I know it's weird to talk about baseball, but so Albert Pujols rejoined the Cardinals for this season, so he gets a team with Yadier Molina for one final season together, which is pretty insane. So here's Ballpark Village. This is a whole entertainment complex featuring stands and all that. -2.2, not bad. I got the thing stopped. So this is the interior of what's... I know it doesn't look that great. Fine. Busch Stadium may not look like that great in the simulator, but it's still not a bad stadium at all. But if you've ever been here in real life, it's actually a very nice venue for baseball. Also, here's the funny thing enough. This stadium also hosted the Winter Classic for the St. Louis Blues. It was held here in this ballpark. Yes, a Major League Stadium hosting, baseball stadium hosting the NHL. Crazy times we live in, man. Oh crap. I'm gonna have to slow out of here. Unless I can be at home plate. What is your favorite stadium? Great question, Big Miles. My favorite Major League Stadium, actually. I think my favorite is probably Oracle Park in San Francisco. Oracle Park, San Francisco is absolutely... no, medic. Okay, I need to take off. That's not... I could do it in the Top Runner, but I can't do it in this plane, unfortunately. But no. Oracle Park in San Francisco is, in my opinion, the best baseball stadium in the league. It's right by the bay. It's very modern. It's got lots of character to it. And I mean, having home runs hit in the San Francisco Bay is definitely beautiful. Though there's a lot of other great ballparks. PNC Park in Pittsburgh looks amazing as well, with the Roberto Clemente Bridge, and downtown Pittsburgh looks really cool. And also, there's Fenway Park and Wrigley Field. Those two are very historic venues. And then there's also Dodger Stadium, which features the view of the Chavez Ravine. And then there's also another really good one, Great American Ballpark in Cincinnati is really nice. Though I will tell you what I think is the worst ballpark. The worst ballpark, in my opinion, is absolutely Oakland. I mean, for all I know, the Rays Tropicana Field gets a lot of crap for being in a dome, but you got to think about it. At least in the dome, you don't have to worry about rain delays. And considering Florida's lightning capital, maybe having a dome isn't such a bad idea. So yeah, that's what I pick as the worst. So now let's talk about the next area of our tour. So we're going to actually visit a very unique landmark here. We're actually visiting East St. Louis. This here is Malcolm W. Martin Memorial Park. Now, so this memorial park is on the east side of the Mississippi. It's home to the Gateway Geyser, which actually launches it up 630 feet, which is actually the same height as the Gateway Arch, by the way, which is pretty funny. So the geyser itself, here's the funny thing about the geyser, is powered by three 800 horsepower pumps discharging 7,500 gallons of water per minute at a speed of 250 feet per second, and the thrust is nearly 103,000 pounds of force, which is insane. And this thing goes nearly as tall as the arch itself. Pretty nuts. So there is the Gateway Geyser. And then from here, we're going to be visiting, well, the most iconic attraction here in the city. Yes, there is one, if there's one recognizable landmark, I think you guys know what I'm talking about. Yes, it's actually the Gateway Arch. You guys knew this was coming. I'm going to have to get up an altitude to reach the arch, by the way. Climb. Come on, little ultralight, you can climb. Climb, little ultralight, climb. Yeah, this is the Gateway Arch. This is an extremely iconic part of St. Louis. This is a massive part of its skyline. It gives St. Louis a really unique charm. Love it, love it, love it. Yeah, it's a huge arch. So what is the Gateway Arch, by the way? It's 630 feet tall. It's clad in stainless steel. Yes, this is a stainless steel arch, by the way. It is actually, when it was built at the time, it is the world's tallest arch. It was actually completed back in 1965 and was built as a monument to the western expansion of the U.S. The arch is commonly referred to as the Gateway to the West. And this was actually designed by Finnish American architect Eero Saarinen. He also was the one who designed Washington Dulles International Airport, by the way, in the Transworld Airlines Flight Center in New York City. He's made quite a few other buildings, like the Clanhan Music Hall in Buffalo is some of his other work. But this arch was actually started construction in 1963. And it was open to the public in 1967, and it's obviously the international recognized symbol of St. Louis. But in fact, the planning for this actually came all the way as early as 1933 to build such an arch. And it nearly took me over 30 years in the making to finally get this thing built. And it's actually one of the, and in fact, this is also the tallest stainless steel monument in the world. There's the cross-section in each of the legs are actually triangles. And 3 million tourists were expected to visit the arch. And they actually visit the top of it. So you can actually go on an elevator, I believe, and you can actually go to the top of the arch, which is pretty cool. So you can actually see out of that top of the arch, which is really cool. I never got into the arch before, but it's a very important area of St. Louis. Without question, it is the landmark here in St. Louis. You should definitely check out the arch. The beautiful St. Louis Gateway Arch. By the way, this is also very popular in the sim for stunt pilots trying to go upside down. As you would now be able, as Viper Strike, the expert pilot, is going to be determined. Boy, it hit me. I have some fun. Hey, even those right pilots actually have some fun. So this right here is the Gateway Arch National Park, where this is actually stood at. Yeah, this is the arch. The arch looks amazing in the sim. The arch looks incredible. So the next landmark here is the old courthouse, guys. So this here is the old courthouse. This used to be the former courthouse of St. Louis County. I go back to pause. So this here is the old courthouse. So what exactly is this old courthouse anyway, you may ask? So this courthouse was actually constructed in the 1800s. Now, this is currently now a museum for historical exhibits and stuff. So this old courthouse is particularly notable for one of the most famous court cases at the time. It was actually completed in 1864, but the construction started in 1816. But one of the most notable cases in the courthouse was in 1846, when the slave Dred Scott sued for his and wife freedom as they were held in 3 states. And all the trials, including the Supreme Court here in Missouri, were held here in this courthouse. And eventually this case was ultimately decided in the Supreme Court in one of the most infamous cases in American history. Dred Scott versus Sandford, which ruled against the Scots, saying they did not have grounds of citizens to sue. And this was a pretty big deal. Its impact was pretty huge. And it was a very divided court decision. It was very divided between the Republicans and Democrats, and its impact was quite huge. And this was also mentioned during the Civil War. However, after the events of the Civil War, however, when the Civil War did happen, it led to the 13th Amendment, which gave African Americans equal rights and stuff, and basically overturned Dred Scott. As well. So definitely a very important. So that is a bit about the old courthouse. Some bit of background information about that courthouse. Very important information that I think a lot of you guys get a little brushed on, and I think it's a bit of American history that a lot of people don't really get to know. So after we visit the courthouse, we're going to head back out here, so we don't have any buildings. Okay. Thankfully, this plane's small, so I don't have to worry about hitting buildings. Here's the Gateway Arc National Park. We already included it. And now we're going to visit the last of the Major League Sporting venue. This used to be the home of the St. Louis Rams before they ditched St. Louis and ran off to LA for money. You can thank the Kroenke family for that. But this here is the Dome of America's Center. So there's the Dome of America's Center. Not much to talk about since there hasn't been a lot of professional sports teams. This multi-purpose arena was used for concerts, major conventions, sporting events. The dome provides multiple different seat configurations, and it can seat up to 82,260 per people, and was the home of the St. Louis Rams from 1995 to 2015. It was also the home of the St. Louis Battlehawks of the XFL, and that's currently actually St. Louis's sports team currently. But in fact, they only got suspended after 1 season. But this here is the Dome of America Center. And right next to it is the Convention Center nearby. So nearby is the Convention Center. So let's get back to the cockpit. So let's look over. Now, when this was actually in the sim, this was known as the Edwards-Jones Dome. Next, we're going to visit the Campbell House. Is going to be our next stop. Is the Campbell House. Now, there's the St. Louis Public Library. So this here is the Campbell House Museum, located here in St. Louis. Now, this home is dedicated and commemorates the Victorian lifestyle of Robert Campbell and his wife back in the day. This was featured in Life magazine and National Geographic in the 40s. Now, this little house particularly has an interesting little history about it. One of the things this house was definitely known for was it featured 2 parlors, it featured 3-story bay windows around the house. He purchased the house for $18,000 and moved in. And eventually, the last surviving child of Robert Campbell died in 1938. And eventually, they managed that William Clark Society preserved the house in the 40s. And it's turned now into a modern museum. And there's a website here you can actually visit about the house. But it featured a lot of old paintings, original furniture, and all that stuff from the 1880s. So a pretty cool little house. And there's one more historic little house we're going to visit here in St. Louis. And that's going to be the Scott Joplin House. So this was actually the residence of the famous composer Scott Joplin, one of the kings of ragtime, from 1901 to 1903. Its exact construction date was kind of unknown, but based on what happens, it was around in the 1860s. A new heritage complex was built nearby, which provided the history of black urban migration and the transformation of a multi-ethnic neighborhood to the contemporary community. So the Scott Joplin House. So it's right over here. So there is the Scott Joplin House. Here's the Scott Joplin House right over here. So there's that house. And then we're going to actually then head right. We're going to visit the Herbert Hoover Boys and Girls Club here in St. Louis. One of the many Boys and Girls Club here in the U.S. But the reason we're actually heading there is because for some of those who've been around my baseball series, this was actually the original location of St. Louis's original ballpark, the Cardinals, and that was Sportsman Park. This was the original home of the Cardinals from 1902 to 1966. Actually, it was owned Cardinals from 1920 to 1966. It was also home at St. Louis's other Major League Baseball team from 1902 to 1953. So there's the Boys and Girls Club over here, and you can definitely see that plot of land still. This is still where Sportsman Stadium was held right here. Imagine there was a Major League Baseball team held right in that site. Pretty cool stuff. Engine. 5, 6, 7. Let's go ahead and I'm going to play a little bit of music. Let's play some bit. Let's play some bit of classical music, shall we? Let's play something chill. So I hope you guys are liking this so far and are enjoying this stream. If you like what you're seeing, don't be afraid to smash that follow button. It would be greatly appreciated if you haven't checked it out. Press the follow button. And I do have a Discord as well to keep track of my latest flights and events for all my streams and content. Don't be afraid to check them out. So right now we're going to visit the Steel Truss Bridge, and this here is going to be McKinley Bridge, you may ask. So right over here is McKinley Bridge. Now this Steel Truss Bridge was opened in 1910 across the Mississippi River. It's currently used for not just vehicular traffic, but for pedestrian and bicycle traffic. It was the first bridge to align with the Route 66 of the Mississippi River, and it was estimated that 17,000 vehicles use this bridge daily. This bridge is around 600 feet long, with its longest span being around 50 feet. So now we're going to actually do some pretty interesting flying here. We're actually going to go fly across the Mississippi River, guys. So basically we'll view a little bit of Mark Twain and fly the Mississippi River. This should be nice and scenic through the Mississippi. What a beautiful flight here, guys. This is nice. Very beautiful flight around the Mississippi River. Let's turn right. Just absolutely beautiful scenery today. Now, I know next week one is going to be quite the same thing as the London one. I mean, the one in Rome, I'm going to have to write lots of notes for the one in Rome. Oh, boy. So, we're flying next to Granite City, Illinois. So, Granite City was founded in 1896 it was named by the Niederinghaus brothers, William and Frederick. And they established it as the steel-making company town for the manufacture of kitchen utensils made to resemble granite, which is actually where they got the name Granite City from. It has a population of 27,549 people. And they made graniteware stuff. Since 1866, they've been operating the St. Louis Stamping Company here in St. Louis. And it became well known as a company town all over the city. Now, during the 1900s, Granite City was known for a lot of from the Balkan countries like Macedonia, Bulgaria, and Hungary. And they moved to present-day Lincoln Place. So here's all the steel making stuff to our left and right. This is what Granite City is known for, is their steel making. So you can definitely see some of the steel plants from around here. In the 1903, they actually expelled its African American residents, and it became known as a sundown town. And then as of 2008, several large manufacturing corporations still operate here, including U.S. Steel, Kraft Foods, Prairie Farms, and American Steel operate here. Now, this city is divided by 8 areas, which include downtown, East Granite, North Granite, the Manatee Strip, Belmore area, and Wilson Park. Each of them have different parts of the city and history. And one of its most famous people, and it is actually Pulitzer-winning prize fiction writer Robert Butler. Is one of its most famous people, and then George Becker, the former labor leader and president of the United Steelworkers, works here too. that's a bit... Could bring up the Rome visit in 2 weeks if it's too much. No, don't worry. It's going to be a short series. It's going to be a short flight. Don't worry. I'm not really worried, friends all. It's actually going to be a pretty short one. I'm not really that worried as well. So for Grand City, we're actually going to so we're going to go back out to the Mississippi again. We're going to visit another area. We're going to visit another bridge, the old Chain of Rocks Bridge. Oh, and before we get to that bridge, let me talk about something else too. So, for guys who don't know, I'm actually part of a virtual airline company called Firefly Air, which is this. So, Firefly Air is operated by Two-Tone Murphy. It talks about our hub here at FS Hub. So, it's great because it's the VA service for MSFS, X-Plane, and PPE. It's free, you don't have to pay anything, and all you need is to set up an FS Hub account, then download the Plane Rate Monitor client, and then get FSUIPC or XPUIPC, depending on which sim you're playing at. And once you get those three installed, you're set to join the virtual airline, guys. Plain and simple. And we are currently one of the biggest hubs here at FS Hub. Currently one of the biggest hubs here at FS Hub. We have now over 140 pilots here from FS Hub. And I'm actually a captain here at the organization with my aviation profile. With my aviation profile. With my profile, I've flown over 50 different countries so far. Flying over 119 hours of flying, over 36,000 miles of flight time. So yeah, I've done lots of flying, as you can probably tell. So definitely, I recommend, if you haven't done virtual airline stuff, I highly recommend you check out Firefly Air. It's well worth it. In fact, Firefly Air is what I'm doing for the Wednesday streams. In fact, I'm hoping if I ever get the 3-day stream schedule, maybe Fridays would be pretty cool. Pretty cool to work on Friday streams. So enough about that. I'm going to focus on the next bridge, because we're getting another bridge coming up. And this one here is going to be the old Chain of Rocks Bridge that's coming up. It spans the Mississippi River on the north edge of St. Louis. Its most unique feature is a 22-degree bend occurring in the middle of the crossing. Originally was a motor route. The bridge for a time was used by the US Route 66, but now it carries walking and biking trails all across the river. It was originally built back in 1929 as well. Unfortunately, no, I don't think the bridge has been modeled in the sim, which is why it looks like this. Yeah, the bridge isn't modeled in the sim, though. Unfortunate. Now, if you're wondering what am I doing Viper, you're flying outside of the city of St. Louis, well, there's actually a pretty good reason. And this is the whole reason I wanted to make that far out of the city, obviously. Now, if you know anything about American history, you surely have to know about the Lewis and Clark expedition. All the virtually uninspiring. Yeah, I kind of feel the same way, Big Miles, Ron Miles. 6 miles, long miles. I kind of feel the same way. If it's not a handcrafted bridge, it looks uninspired. I completely agree. So, and that's because we're visiting one particular interesting little landmark. Yes, I want to talk about Camp River Du Bois. So, Camp River Du Bois, let me talk about this site. It's also known as the Lewis and Clark State Historical Site. Now, Camp River Du Bois, aka Camp Wood, served as the winter camp and the launching point of the Louisiana Purchase by the Lewis and Clark Expedition. It was founded at Hey. Oops. Thought I heard the thing. Sorry. Okay, founded the confluence of the Riviere du Bois, the Wood River, on December 12, 1803. It was located on the east side of the Mississippi River, and it was still in U.S. territory. And this was important because the transfer of Louisiana Purchase did not occur until 1804, actually. In 1803, at Cahoga, Lewis and Clark met a well-known French citizen, Nicolas Giroux, who owned 400 acres at Du Bois, and they agreed to let him hatch up a camp here. So William Clark established Camp Du Bois, and they constructed as a frontier fort. Meriwether Lewis joined the camp several weeks later after gathering information about Upper Louisiana. And then also during that time, Lewis looked at opportunities to move relations with the Spanish authorities to make the transfer actually easier. And it was a fully operated military camp, actually, which meant you still had all the training, personal cleanliness, policing, and all that sort of stuff. And in 1804, the expedition left Camp River Du Bois on the east side. It sailed up the Missouri River, which set up the entire Lewis and Clark expedition, and the rest is history, basically, here. And the Memorial State Historic Site was actually here, too. And of course, one of the main attractions here was actually the replica of the camp itself, which features a theater, multiple handling exhibits and displays, and a 55-foot full-scale keelway keelboat here, too. So yeah, that is going to be Camp River Du Bois. Should be around here. Should be up ahead. One of the main reasons I wanted to visit out of the city of St. Louis. And this is why I'm taking the Aerolite, because it's faster. So here it is. Unfortunately, it's not modeled in the sim, but here it is. There's the Camp River Du Bois and the interpretive center right here. This area right over here is where the fort was actually replicated here. And there's where the interpretive center was at, right here. We're going to go ahead and turn left. And we got one more place to stop over before we get to our final airport. Turn left. This would be our final stop for today's stream. I hope everyone's enjoying the stream. I know it may seem a little boring for Viper just to talk about historical stuff, but for me, I like learning about the places we fly. I know it may seem boring, but I'm having a good time with it. I think it's nice that we explore the world for what it is. last place we're visiting is Fort Bellefontaine. Fort Bellefontaine actually is the last landmark we're going to be visiting here today. It is a former U.S. military base located in St. Louis County. It was actually the first U.S. military installation outside of and west of the Mississippi River in the newly acquired Louisiana Territory, and it served for the starting point of many expeditions to the American West during the 1800s. Part of the site still is preserved in the Fort Bellefontaine County Park, and there's an archaeological finds here, and it's now a U.S. Register of Landmark Historical Places. So that is going to be a lot of the news. Now I want to talk about something else, if you guys don't mind. So we got several big news. Obviously, a couple days ago, we had the Phoenix E320 from Phoenix, which, I mean, we finally got an upper tier payware Airbus. So I mean, this past month has been insane for airliners. The 146, the ME-82 Mad Dog, 737, and now this. And then we have Marlon, the Honda H-Jets coming in May. Tom Murphy's going to be the first person to actually show it off on the 25th. And then Samsung 3D is going to bring in some China's mega cities are coming. He's going to bring a mega city pack of China. Which is definitely very interesting as well to have China. So that's just been some of the news I found out from MSFS add-ons. Oh, that's a good question. I'm wondering what we're going to get in the Top Gun DLC. That's a great question, Big Miles, Long Miles. Here's what I predict. I'm predicting we're getting the SR-72 Hypersonic UAV. And the reason I'm saying that is because this was what was mentioned in the original Top Gun DLC trailer, was that Hypersonic UAV. I think we're going to get a couple of new liveries for the F-18 Hornet. Coming into the sim, because they had to bring the Hornet to the sim early. So I think we might see more liveries from the Top Gun movie for the F-18. I know they're going to bring aircraft landing stuff, so maybe they're going to bring aircraft carrier scenery to do our aircraft landing stuff. Maybe a few more activities in the missions we can do. I think that's what's going to be in the Top Gun DLC expansion. If I'm being honest, that is what I think is going to happen. Big smiles, long miles. I think that's going to be what's going to be in that DLC. The drone would be really odd. Actually, it's not so odd because that was actually mentioned in the movie. It would seem odd, but I mean, it actually makes sense because that was actually in the trailer, by the way. It was an SR-72 spy plane. you think we can get a handcrafted Myanmar base? Actually, here's the thing. I think it was already handcrafted for Game of the Year edition, Big Miles. I think Myanmar is already now a handcrafted airport at Game of the Year edition, I believe. But I don't really know. I haven't really checked Myanmar, but I believe it's handcrafted. Let me go check just in case. Okay, let me go ahead and look at this. Yeah, Myanmar's added. Yeah, Myanmar's a handcrafted airport from the updates from Game of the Year edition. Yeah, I haven't really checked out Myanmar too much, but it was already one of the handcrafted stuff. So maybe a handcrafted, maybe they do handcrafted aircraft carrier. I don't really know. Oh yeah, before we get going, there's one final slideshow, and that is the last slide. This is Lambert St. Louis International, the largest medium hub airport in the country. Serves nearly 16 million passengers every year with more than 259 departures to 78 non-stop domestic and international locations. Named after Albert Von Lambert, an aviation pioneer from the area. It rose to international prominence in the 20th century thanks to its association with Charles Limball and the Sphere of St. Louis, its groundbreaking air traffic control, its status as the primary hub of Trans World Airlines, TWA, and its iconic terminal makes it a world-famous airport. Currently serves many different airlines through the years. It's currently the hub for Air Choice 1 and Cape Air, but it's mainly flown as a regional hub for Southwest Airlines, but also for American Airlines. Delta flies here to United. Air Canada flies to Toronto. Air Choice 1 can land in Jonesboro, Arkansas, and they fly nearly everywhere. San Juan, Puerto Rico. Spirit can fly here to Cancun. Basically, this is pretty nice regional airport. So that is Lambert down over here. So let's get a prediction for the chat. We're going to land actually on runway 24. We're gonna land on 24. Have you watched Meet Me in St. Louis? I don't think so. I don't think I've watched Meet Me in St. Louis. I don't really watch musicals and all that. I don't really watch musicals and all that, so I don't think I've ever watched it. So there it is, guys. We have the city of St. Louis. We have Lambert International on our site. We can still see downtown St. Louis. Your information made my work pass much faster and you brought some good memories. Ah, nice, Martel. Hey, glad to hear it. I just like the backgrounds and costumes. The Troy song is pretty fun. Yeah, from one of her, I looked it up and I found out it was about the 1904 World Fair. It was held here. So we're gonna make a landing prediction here. Predict. Negative 95 for me. I hope I can get to negative 95. Predict for negative 50 of this. Hey, look at that. Negative 80, that's all. That's a good one. Nicely done. By the way, congratulations on your rank at Captain. Your stats are amazing. Thanks, man. I've been grinding out these flights, you know. I've been grinding them out. Yeah, no problem. I mean, it's not easy to grind out these flights, you know. I've been completing most of the achievements. But I'm hoping to complete most of these achievements, I'm hoping to complete most of these on my streams. The multi-fight stuff. I like doing all the multi-fight stuff streamed with you guys, so I want you guys to actually enjoy looking at the new scenery. I'm currently doing the Philippine one, and the next one I'll probably go to Japan and just fly around the Japanese island. But yeah, I really enjoy the city tour and all that. I think it's great. There we go. Now we can just turn off. So let's go ahead and master switch is off, and that concludes today's city tour, guys. So thanks for coming, everyone. I really appreciate the city tour. I had a fantastic time here in St. Louis. I hope you guys... I'll still have to do my main flight. No worries. Martel. So we've had a great time here in the city of St. Louis, Missouri. This iconic American city has tons of rich history of being a port. And this gateway city definitely has shown a lot of this beautiful city as well. So we're going to go ahead and let's see who we're going to raid today. There's quite a few options. Let's see what options we have on. Let's look at Microsoft Flight Simulator. Let me go ahead and look at that. Let's see who we can raid. There's Squirrel who we can raid. Squirrel, Edward the Pilot, Iceman. There's quite a few people we can raid. There's a lot of options here for today. Angry One Horn. There's a lot of names we could probably raid for today. Monetize your account, please, LL. I wish I could monetize my account. I wish, Mongo, but... Let's see, I guess... I'm probably gonna raid... Actually, actually, I'm thinking about probably raiding someone we haven't even raided yet. I think I'm going to raid Iceman, if you guys don't mind. He's flying the choppers right now. Today is one of his fun days. He's currently right now doing a flight from in the Grand Canyon, I believe. But I think it'd be good to raid his channel. I don't think he's ever gotten. I know I've raided him in the past, but I think it'd be good if we raid him for today. So, guys, I really want to thank you guys so much for the support. I mean, you guys have been a very big deal for me and the channel. Oh, no. Wrong one. Wrong Iceman. I need to... sorry. So, guys, let me go ahead. Make sure you all stay for the raid. There we go, guys. So I hope you guys stick for the raid. On Wednesday, we do week 2 of our Philippine bush trip. We're going to carry more supplies. So we're going to visit Palawan Island and reach to the end of the Visuan Islands. And then next Sunday, we're going to, in honor of World Update 9, we're going to visit not one, but 2 iconic places. Rome and the Vatican City, which is going to be a very historical trip. We might be there for a while. But thank you guys so much for coming for today's stream. I know it's been pretty stressed out with all the stuff, but I know I'll do it. Take care, everyone. Fiber Strike 95 is signing off. Take care, everyone. Have a great rest of the weekend.